All right. For Lisette, we're going in past lives, looking at archetypes, looking at what might have played a role, what was going on in past life. Ooh, okay. We've got the Virgin and the Child Eternal. Now, this life, I don't think you lived like late into your 50s, 60s, blah, blah, blah. I think this was a little bit younger life. I'm not quite sure why. See what happens here. The Maid in the Cave and Agape. Agape is like devotion, devotion, devotion. Hugely, hugely loved. I think you were an only child in this one. I think your parents spoiled you like crazy. They waited forever for you to arrive. You arrived. And this wasn't a time where people lived, you know, huge, huge, long lives. And Agape, I'm getting devotion. You were an exceptionally pretty child. People would stop and notice. I'm getting French backstory on this, and I'm not sure why. It's more than just the name that you have now with Lisette, but it is the reason I asked. I wanted something else to tether in, and it feels very French for whatever reason. People would come over to see you. I think you had a talent at something that you were gifted at doing. I'm not sure what that talent was, but people would come and want to almost barge the door down. If it were modern times, you would be the actor or the child prodigy of something. This is the windows and goes beyond the windows, over and above the windows. This is where you would go into the cave for a particular period of time with your grandmother. The cave is here, the grandmother's here. This is a protective circle. Your grandmother was a little woo-woo, a little hippie-trippy, not the conservative Christian element, more the hippie-trippy woo-woo type person. Very, very protective of you. You would go into the cave with her, and this is where you learned. This is, I'm getting vocals. I'm getting this cave would have extremely great acoustics, and I think you did vocals. I think you sung. I don't know if you performed on what would be a stage for that particular day and time, but your singing was something that affected the area quite a bit. It was the strong talent that would draw people, because of course they would hear the vocals and wonder what was going on. You would go to the cave to practice singing. You would go to the cave to have a good time. You would go to the cave to heal and retreat. It was a specific cave, a specific place, kind of hidden, not too very far. Like you could get there easily within a day, no problem. Probably within a couple of hours, but not everybody knew what this was. You and your grandmother knew what this was. Your grandmother would do interesting ceremonies of blessings for the area, for the geography and the people that lived in the geography. Some people thought the cave was a little haunted. You did your work by dark. You had enough I don't want to say notoriety, but you had enough people taking notice of what was going on with you when you were singing and it was broad daylight and you were just in the house and the window happened to be open. So you had enough of that already. So if you were doing blessing work, as long as you were with the grandma and carrying the legacy of doing the blessing work, doing the vocal blessing, honoring the gift of voicing the truth and honoring the gift of lifting, then your voice was also gifted in song. Yeah, there is something that you would do very much with her. Now, this is an interesting one. There's also a certain property of water that you would go and get. And I don't know if this property, if this had like mint leaves or something near the water, but there was something near the water that was like an herbal thing that would ease your cords, ease your throat, and also help keep you healthy. And I think it may have been some sort of minty type of a thing. Very weird. This is showing me your parents are celebrating because there's practically a royal invitation. Now, I don't know if this is a legit, you're invited to the palace, but this is a big, big schwanky deal that you're invited to perform at. It's the people know of you enough that you've been invited to perform. Your parents are tickled pink about it. People would gather to see you do your thing as much as anyone would gather around Houdini or whatever. They would gather. There would be benefactors gathering around, and you would also sing songs that would they weren't like jingles, but they were catchy. You know, the songs that really get well, they'll get in the algorithm sometimes. You know, the catchy songs. You would get those songs sometimes, or you'd sing it so beautifully people would want to sing like you, and so they would sing it because it would stay. It would imprint on them. You were a little bit trapped by your own gift. Again, this is why your grandmother would come in.
She said earworms.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. I want to shuffle up here. We're still in that same period of time. Okay, what I'm getting is you had a suitor, you had somebody in particular that you really liked. I'm seeing the playfulness here, and I got that you died of mono, of weirdness. I can't believe that's what came through, but it's what came through. You perform a lot, so you get sometimes sore through the chords. You sing a lot, you get sore through the chords. You didn't think that you were as ill as you were. It wasn't something vindictively done, but they wouldn't have known how to treat it any differently than even a cold back then. So people were rushing to see what they could do. You were rushing to see if you could get help, but it was too far gone. It's like when people die of pneumonia or something currently, they don't realize that they're that sick. They just think that it's a cold. But that's what's happening there. Going back and finding your true north, commitment made, promise made by this one, the person that you loved felt like they got shortchanged, and there was a deal struck to see you again in the next life, in the next go around. You might go round and round and round with this person that looks very much like you do. Something about the cat and the tiger. I don't know what that's about. What's this about? The cat and the tiger. What's this about, please? I don't know. Maybe that's Leo energy. I have no idea. The cat and the tiger. It seems like literally a cat that has the markings that look more like a tiger. Relief, relief. You would be allowed a longer life the next go around, absolutely, because you'd want to enjoy this a little more. Some of it would come in and carry over. Your parents grieved too young. They grieved you too young. They lost you too young. The cat and the tiger. It's not a cat and mouse thing at all. It's the cat and the tiger. It's being mistaken for one for this. Oh, it's like when somebody I knew one Christmas when they were small, they had a bobcat as their house cat. They didn't know it was a bobcat. They didn't know what they had in their hands. They were having the tiger by the tail, right? They didn't know what they had really until later. And then somebody that was the neighbor came in their house like, hey, do you know you got a bobcat there? So you have a tiger by the tail. You have more in your hands than what you realize. The cat and the tiger, it's literally referencing that you don't know what you got there. There's a playful discovery. Sometimes a little bit of rivalry. Sometimes a little bit of pushback is what I can get. I think sometimes you consider yourself one among many, and that you might consider yourself ordinary in a way that is a little bit not valuing the self-esteem or the gifts that you currently have. You don't need to be parade wave, showgirl, pageant girl. You don't need to be in the window of the view. In fact, you would prefer to have that settle down somewhat. You don't like when people approach you that way. Okay. This is coming to the end. This guy's coming through with a Fool with a new start, with the lyrics fine and dandy from the Hard Candy Christmas from Dolly Parton. I'm not sure what that's about, but it is about understanding the simple gifts. I'm not sure what else is in there for lyrics for you, but you're going to be fine and dandy. Like a Hard Candy Christmas, something like that. Something about the Christmas time. I think there's something about December energy here. Anything else? That's complete. I've shown you the 3 candles. I've shown you the 3 things. Quit asking is what I'm getting. Quit asking. Fine and dandy. All right, we leave it there. Quit asking. The sword was been carried through. And that one you can see the sword. You can see the candlelight shed on this. You'll know what this is about a little bit more. You'll know where it leans over into the next life. That's what we've got. That's complete. Wow. Beautiful. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah. Love it. Love it, love it. Do I have a time frame? Not. Feels like post 1400, but no. Post 1400 is what I'm knowing. I don't know any more specific than that. If I knew more specific, I would tell you, but there's no point in me. Well, I'm getting blocked. So, all right.